one right there?
Huh?
That's Steve's house.
That's Steve's background. It's so weird. It's so weird. It totally feels
Or
like
this one right here. People do that one too. What's that about?
What is that one?
The blurry.
I don't even know. Yeah, the bricks are
like a
throwing me
kid
off.
with a new toy, bro. I think we're live.
Oh my God. I don't
I
even
think we're live.
have that. Like, how do you guys get all those backgrounds? What do I got? I don't even have the option here. It's ghetto.
You go to settings, bro, virtual background, and then you go to Mid's house. That's a Mid's house right there.
It's like you're all in jail. So welcome back, Rango. What's up, man? You were in India yesterday.
Yeah, I've been there for a few weeks now. I just came back yesterday.
How is that? How's that? What's the jet lag like? How many hours?
It's 12 and a half hours. Yeah.
Oh, it's like Japan. It's like Japan.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Japan.
cool.
Well, from New York, Japan was 12 hours.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. From New York, yeah.
So I remember I was there in 2013, and then when I got back, on my way back, they were like, "Oh, hey, do you want to come in and catch a shift at work?" And I was like, "I kind of want to, just because I wanted to feel the culture shock." And it was bizarre. Like, it's bizarre because it was a full 12 hours, right? So 6 p.m., 6 a.m. kind of thing. But I would say a few short hours after I landed on the plane, I was like back in New York City after being in Japan. It was very weird. That feeling lasted for like 3 days, where you could see the United States from the outside, and then slowly you start integrated. You're muted, Heinze.
Yeah.
Carlos, I didn't know that you went to Japan. Remember a few months ago, I said hi to you guys on the regular Finance Junkies, where I was like, "Hi from Japan."
No,
you guys remember that? You don't remember that? You were like,
you were.
Yeah, I was in Japan watching you guys. Yeah.
Where in Japan were you?
Oh, I think that I was in Osaka. I think I was at the what is it, at the big aquarium, the very famous aquarium. Yeah.
We did a few cities. We liked Tokyo. We did Osaka, Shinjuku. I gotta say, look, I liked Osaka so much that I almost moved there.
Dude.
I almost freaking moved there. I was like, these are my people. These are my people.
If you guys haven't been to Japan, you guys have to go.
You gotta check out Osaka.
Like every single, probably the stereotypes that you guys heard about, like things being clean and things like that. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So I can't wait to go back. Check this out. I actually loved Osaka more than I loved Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo was just too much.
Me too.
Tokyo was just too overwhelming.
And what was the other one I went to? The last place that we visited was Roppongi, and that was pretty cool too.
I didn't. Did you go to Kobe? Because it was right next to Osaka. Yeah, I had to try.
No, we did like 3 days at each spot, and we just wanted to take the bullet train all around, and then we wanted to eat at all these cool sushi spots. And so there was like that really, really great restaurant at the top of. It's like at the top of one of the hotels, like a 360 view. It was just a great trip, but we were there for a long time, almost 3 weeks.
It was awesome.
And I was like, why don't I live here?
I can't wait to go back. Yeah.
Okay.
How vegetarian friendly is Japan? I think how vegetarian friendly is Japan, food wise?
Oh, I think there's plenty of vegetables, but you just have to kind of just gotta research where you're gonna go.
Yeah.
They have vegan friendly stuff. So
are you vegan, Rango?
No, I'm vegetarian.
Or vegetarian.
Do you eat sushi?
Yeah. No, I don't eat fish.
Even no fish. Oh man,
no fish. Yeah.
Is this like a decision for health or just kind of?
No, I mean I've just raised that way. I never had meat all my life and never started doing it. And once or twice I think accidentally had it when I was in China, and I had like a pretty bad reaction. I couldn't digest it at all. So it's like
that happened to a friend of mine. She's been like vegetarian her whole life, and she just had meat sauce. It wasn't even the meat; it was just like cooked in a broth. Forget it. It ruined her.
Exactly. It's just like it's just like I couldn't eat anything for the next few days. Yeah.
Well, welcome back. It's that's a serious jet lag. I appreciate the commitment to join us. All right, hey everybody, let's go see who's in the chat here today. What do we got?
What's up, everybody?
What's up? Yes, TJ, we are live. We are a go. Jonathan Sargent, what's up? Iceman, how's it going? Imna, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Finance Junkies. Thanks so much, TJ, Rango, Heinze, for being here. Steve is running a little bit late. He said he'll be here about a half an hour. So give him like 20, 30 minutes. That's why I think maybe we flip it today. Since we have Rango, I wanted to talk rate cuts, of course. We don't have to get into it too much because, like you were saying before we went live, Heinz, it was kind of anticlimactic. Everyone expected it so long that it was kind of like, now that it's here, it's like whatever. But I do want to wait for Steve, because I really want to get Steve's opinion on that. But we can talk a little bit about Q3, Q4 outlook, and this Tesla 1010 event and BTC ready to rip. So the 1010 event is coming up very quickly, and I don't know. I am getting a feeling with this 1010 event that it is very similar to Tesla 2019. That we are about to see a gigantic freaking move in Tesla up, and we will never see these levels again. Now I know, Rango, you work there, so we're not going to be trying to get some inside information. But what's the sentiment? What's the sentiment at Tesla now? Is it very similar to like the launch of the Model 3, like the Model Y? Is it internally, is there a lot of excitement?
I was not there for the launch of the Model 3 and Model Y, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. A lot of stuff coming up, and yeah, I mean, I can say more about it. I'm excited for sure. I'm quite excited.
Oh, that's a guy who knows more than he can tell. You look happy. You look happy, which makes me happy.
Where's this event going to be at?
It's going to happen at Universal Studios, I think.
Did they announce it already? I don't know if they announced it already. It was reported that there were reports that I don't know the truth behind it.
It's at the hold on. It's at one of the studios out here. I think it's Universal. If anyone knows in the chat.
Let me see.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure it's Universal Studios.
I know I would say I know half of what's going to happen. I don't know half of what's not going to happen. So it's like, for me, it's like there is a surprise, right? Like I don't know all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So it's happening at Warner Brothers Studio in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And the speculation there is that they want to actually do demos of the Robo taxi, but they want to avoid some of the regulatory issues, having it drive on the streets. So you do it on a closed circuit. I'm sure you guys saw the picture that was apparently leaked from somebody that works at Warner Brothers that took a picture of the car, kind of driving around and doing a test. So that's really exciting. But I think a lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on the actual, like the vehicle and the Robo taxi itself. But I'm feeling like we're going to see more than one vehicle that day. And I also feel like we're going to I also feel like the event is not just going to be about announcing that you're going to be able to say book a Tesla like an Uber. I feel like they're going to have some sort of a subscription model, kind of like you pay $100 a month and you can have unlimited rides or something like that. I feel like they're going to also turn the pricing on its head, and I think that's going to get people to think differently about this. I'm going to see if I can pull up the tweet. There was a tweet where Elon responded to Farzad about the idea that like a Tesla will be able to take you door to door. With no intervention and completely safe. And it's going to be it's going to open up markets that people didn't think existed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys, and now I know it's a loaded question for you guys, for you, Rango, but what do you guys think we're going to see at the Robotaxi event? And how do you think that's going to affect the stock?
I mean, generally these kind of events are a sell the news event. I think like,
you think it's a sell the news?
I think we run up. I mean, unless it's like market is getting something, generally speaking, it's you run up like crazy till that event and then be like a huge sell the news event. I that's what I'm expecting at least. Generally the stock doesn't run till the earnings is not seen on coming in, right? Like that's what like my understanding. Even Nvidia started running like crazy because the earnings started showing up. That's when it started running, right? I think till earnings is growing like crazy, the stock I think is going to like keep bouncing around back and forth. And but I believe the earnings will show up at some point.
But do you think that there'll be some sort of repricing of Tesla stock based on the fact that, okay, this is now a real service and it's going to be launched? Hopefully they'll give us a date as to when this is launched, and they actually are going to be taking a fare. We'll get some ideas of cost. And do you think that the street's going to start to price this in? Because right now we can assume that like no one's pricing any of this in. Nothing with FSD, Robo Taxi, or the bot is priced in.
I mean, it's very simple. Can it fit on a model? Like, can they fill in the numbers based on what Tesla is announcing? If they cannot, it's going to be a big sell the news event. That's my view of any event. Can they actually like model any kind of numbers, and how much probability can they add? Like, these people who are trading or like owning the Tesla stock, like, or any stock, they really need to kind of like fit their price target in an Excel sheet column. Till that happens, generally they don't buy the stock, and I don't know when it's not going to happen. But hopefully, and I strongly believe, as I work here, that it will happen at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm. And real quick before we switch off of that, there's also like you've seen that the government has been spending what $46 billion to flesh out the electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and you've also seen trying to bring broadband internet. Do you think that Tesla is going to be able to capture some of that? There's been a lot of pushback, at least in the mainstream media, about how mismanaged that money is, and it almost seems like it's kind of an attack on Elon, not just giving him the money to build out the supercharger and Starlink. Do you think that that's going to turn around? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually really cannot comment on the charging stuff because I directly work. I actually intimately know the numbers and what's happening there, and
Right.
I have access to those models. So I really cannot comment on the charging stuff. Like, that's like the one I really stay away from.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a lot of political stuff, right? That's my view of it too. But yeah, the charging stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it more. The charging is. I work on charging, so yeah.
I know.
I actually work on the billing stuff. I actually work on really closely with charging, and it's yeah.
What do you think, TJ? Is that bullish? Is that bullish or what?
The 1010 event?
No, I'm saying what Rango's not saying.
Well, here's the thing on the charging, right? Like, there's a lot of money that they have earmarked for this, but it comes down to who are you going to give the money to, right?
Well, 46 billion.
So I had a bet that they were going to give the money to this company right here.
You want to share?
Can you share the screen? But dude, that company does not know how to manage money, and you're talking about a $595 million company versus one that is more like 595 billion, right? So one that could actually take the ball and run with it, and one that's probably just going to fumble it like my beloved Dallas Cowboys. So I think that if you aren't going to bet on Elon here, and you're not going to bet on Tesla that has the infrastructure, the capabilities to take this ball and score the touchdown, if you will, because it's football season. I mean, if you're not going to trust these guys that have spearheaded this movement, if you will, for the better part of the last 10 or 15 years, then who are you going to give that money to? Because these are number one in the world in everything, all things EV, right? And then they got to do the charging. They're the status, right? They're the
ExxonMobil.
What's it called? They're like, everybody has to conform to them, right? Like they're the
standard. Yeah, they're the charging standard.
They're the standard. But then this is the part that made me kind of have a little bit of cause to pause in the sector. You can get rid of the
Yeah, I mean,
remember when Joe Biden had this big old circle jerk at the White House about EVs?
The EV summit.
Yeah, and he didn't invite who?
Didn't invite Tesla. Yeah.
So it's just like, to me, I was like, why? Like, why would you let politics get in the way of the company that knows more about this than all the other companies combined, if you will? And so it just seems like the one thing that we do have to consider with that money being earmarked, if the political structure stays in place, is that Tesla, I don't think they're in political favor right now. They're out of favor. It was demonstrated during that circle jerk at the White House that they weren't invited to. So that's one thing that's interesting to me. But that being said, dude, I think that Tesla has a lot of verticals that are not priced in. They don't know how to price them in. Tarango's point, if you can't put a pen to paper and make dollars and cents out of it, it's not going to necessarily drive the multiple up. If anything, if it is baked into the cake a little bit, they're going to take it back out of the cake if nothing newsworthy comes out or noteworthy comes out of the event. So I think it's a 50-50, dude. I think it could go to 300 just as easily as I think that it could go to 200. And I think it could happen that quickly, like over a 48-hour span. So I'm neutral to bullish on the event overall. I'm definitely bullish on Tesla long term, but in the short term, I wouldn't mind seeing $200 again. You know, give us that one little chance to shore up the position, because we know where it's going long term, but we don't know where it's going in the next 3 to 6 months, right? Nobody.
But here's the question: a lot of us have been saying we know where Tesla's going long term, but if we've been saying that since 2020, we're technically in the long term of when we started saying this in 2020, and it's been sort of chopping sideways. And I'm not disagreeing with you that there is a bit of a political culture now that is more about we need the other side to lose more than we need to win. And you can say that started with getting snubbed at the EV event, some of the lawfare that's happening now, some of the regulatory hurdles that SpaceX is suffering, the fact that they were not given a contract to provide broadband internet, and instead they're, burying cables to service communities hundreds of miles away from the nearest center. And then this stuff with Tesla becoming the North American charging standard, but still not being given the money to build out the network. I mean, Tesla's still going to build out the network, so it's not going to stop them. But yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, but getting a hold of an extra $1 billion or $2 billion of Uncle Sam's money, that wouldn't hurt anything.
Exactly. But I think the idea is politically they cannot be seen aligning with him at all, because he's sort of under fire with Twitter. And I think it has specifically to do with this year.
I think
that after this election cycle,
somebody has to be the grown-up in the room. You're not aligning with Elon, you're aligning with Tesla. Elon is, but isn't Tesla. Tesla is a separate entity. Elon has probably charged 2 EVs in his whole fucking life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying he didn't even found the company. Like keep it in perspective. Tesla obviously probably wouldn't be around had it not been for Elon's efforts and foresight and everything else. We get all of that. But Elon is not Tesla. And surely as dumb as Joe Biden doesn't even know he's alive, like Donald Trump quote or whatever, but surely he at least knows how to distinguish that. Hopefully, it's my hope that the leader of the free world can put personal prejudice aside and be like, hey, this is the company that we need to back, because if they can't do it, who can? Like who can? I mean, let's look at it that way. There's legit going to be an EV movement by the year 2035, 50-60% of the cars on the road are legitimately going to be EV. Is there any other company that we think is going to dominate that space in this country? No. China, you can make an argument for BYD. I have the Neo and whatnot, because they have the Envoy and the Firefly coming or whatever. But that's a different deal, different topic for a different day. But I'm talking about here in this country. Is there anybody else that can even hold the candle to Tesla in the EV space? I think it's a one-horse race, dude. I mean, winner takes most, but it happens to be probably about 90% of the pie, if not more.
The Chinese definitely could, but both administrations have.
But not in this country, bro. You're not going to have a car, Carlos, with 8 to 10 cameras in here and spying the shit out of the military bases. Get out of here with that. Neo never coming over here, bro, anytime soon.
Yeah, but most of the competitors' solutions to like full self-driving have more to do with like radar and LiDAR than a full camera system. I'm sorry, if you try to match Tesla on the way they're solving FSD, I think that's gone. I think the only way to do it is to try to find a solution using radar and LiDAR that's as cheap as possible, maybe eat the cost and get benefits of cost at scale. But I don't think, unless you've been doing the route that Tesla's been going with camera and vision only for the number of years, I just don't see the data lead that they have is just, I think, unassailable. But just forgetting that part, forgetting the FSD, the robotaxi part, the Chinese could actually compete with Tesla on price and features and all that. But both administrations have signaled minimum of 100% tariff on these vehicles coming in.
Right.
But here's the thing, that's more of a favor to the legacy automakers. It's not, the Model Y is right now set to become the best-selling car in America, like the best-selling car in America. It's really close, within a couple of percent.
I thought it had already surpassed Camry, or am I totally wrong on that?
No, it was like I
No,
saw it on. Can you pull that up, Shane? It was Sawyer Merritt posted it.
It was a best-selling car in the world already last year, but not
Yeah.
best-selling car in America. That's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's within a few points now of the
Yeah,
RAV4.
it was like RAV4. Yeah.
a few thousand units. So that the tariffs are really more to help the legacy auto. And I think everything, I mean, even what you're saying, even snubbing Tesla at the EV event was more to help legacy auto. They're predominantly run by unions. Unions donate to political parties, and they need to show some sort of
Love.
give them a bone, right? And show some sort of loyalty to them. So I think it's both showing loyalty to the people that are paying for you to run, and at the same time, a bit of a punishment for Elon being on the wrong side of the public narrative.
Yeah.
So can you,
Yeah.
and like if I'm a Labrador Retriever or a 5-year-old and I'm not familiar with Elon's distaste for unions and pushing back so hard, and why the government chooses to back legacy auto time and time again, bailing them out of bankruptcy in 2008 and so on and so forth. Like, can somebody give me a 3 or 4 sentence summary on what that rift is, or what that beef is, for not just my knowledge, but for people in the audience that might not be so familiar with the rift that's going on there between Elon and the U.S. government as it pertains to unions specifically?
Can you take that one, Rango?
Yeah, I mean,
Elon's beef with
yeah, so the union specifically, like the UAW is like a huge political donors for the Democrat Party. Joe Biden came to the presidency because of the UAW. And unions have historically failed to unionize inside Tesla, for multitude of reasons. And also, it's kind of like conflict of interest, because most of the Tesla employees own stock. And if you're like a union member, I don't think you can be an owner of Tesla stock and be part of the union. I think, and our compensation is largely in stock. So like, and for that reason and more, UAW's distaste for Tesla and Elon, they've tried to unionize time and again. They've tried to do union drives multiple times in the last 10
in
years.
Sweden.
And
Remember what happened in Sweden?
And they filed. I mean, yeah, Sweden. I'm just talking about
big.
Yeah, Sweden, it's been crazy, but I'm talking about United States, Joe Biden, Democrat Party, and Tesla not kind of like falling into the fold of unions because of how the company itself is structured, compensating in stock. And Elon itself think that like having union kind of gives like, people don't work as a team. It kind of becomes like the executives are against the employees, and people are like trying to just get the best deal possible for themselves instead of trying to push the company forward. At least that's my understanding of what Elon's thoughts are, and I agree with it for large parts. And the president obviously doesn't agree with it, and he falls under the UAW folks, and he takes money from them. So that kind of stemmed into the EV summit, where he only like called automakers who are unionized and majorly. And yeah, so that's the last, and obviously that did not sit well with Elon, because like, and they even tried to pass EV tax credit with a union built thing inside it, but that obviously did not pass through the Congress because of some smart people out there. So yeah, so that's like the overall gist. Like Democrat Party gets money from unions. Unions want to be in Tesla, but they fail. So unions don't like Tesla. So Democrat Party don't like Tesla, and hence the whole thing started. Yeah.
Well, I'm asking 1 second. I'm asking Shane to fact check that, because I don't think that that's the case. I don't know that if you are a member of a union, it means that you cannot get stock-based compensation.
No,
I remember Mary Barra specifically talking about it, that you can, like as
GM or Ford. I know this for a fact that GM or Ford employees who are part of the unions don't get stock-based compensation. I don't know if that can change, but that's not the case until this point, at least.
Huh. Well, I'm asking Shane to look that up because I remember an interview
I'm not
specifically
saying
where
I'm
I
not saying
remember an
it
interview
can be. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it is not being done up until now. And production members are not compensated in stock in GM and Ford and the unionized automakers. And even Elon was saying that, like, if you're owning stock, it's very hard to not have any conflict of interest by owning stock and being as part of the union. So I think he mentioned something along the lines. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Elon mentioned. But definitely, this is for a fact that GM and Ford, their employees, like the union-based employees or production employees, do not own GM and Ford stock.
Yeah, and Carlos, if I can add something about unions, I'm not an expert on unions, but the reason why and I think we can agree that Tesla is an innovative technology company. So, and when you unionize things, what I know about union, I mean, again, I'm not an expert on the automakers union, but
someone's mic is getting some rumble. It's either you, Heinze, or you, Rango. I'm hearing a little rumble. Just check
hello,
to see if it's wiggling.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's like a rumble from it moving.
Oh, okay. No, okay. My bad.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So like, what unions tend to do is, I mean, sadly, they do protect good and bad workers. So, I mean, if you look at the quality of Tesla, for example, and what they've been able to do, not unionize, I mean, they became the leaders of the auto industry. And when you think about, nowadays when there's, cars that are from, international cars, like, like Toyota, for example, BMW, the quality of work over the legacy automakers, to me, just in my views, have been much better. So I mean, I don't know what anybody's take is on work. I've never worked for a union, so but the way I look at it is it from my understanding, unions tend to disincentivize more innovation going back to R&D, because they would have to go back to the workers first. So that's the way I look at it.
I think it's much simpler than that. I think it's more about Elon's philosophy about meritocracy, right? The people who work hard rise to the top and get compensated accordingly. And if you incentivize the people to work hard and they are actually going to see an outsized gain from the fruits of their labor, you're going to get a better employee set. Periodically, every couple of months, they chop out the bottom 10%. The bottom 10% performers get canned.
Yeah, but that's my point. If you're a union member, you're pretty much, your job you're protected. So you can be a horrible worker, but you've been grandfathered into the position that, if you have a complaint, you don't really go to Elon, or you don't really go to your supervisor, you go to the union. So that's why if you're working for a for-profit company and you're the CEO, you're the one building it, it's not in your best interest for your workers to be union.
Oh, I could see both, because I mean, there is a benefit to that, because there are companies that do prey on employees. You saw what happened with the Amazon workers, the Starbucks workers at retail. So there's both sides, but I don't think that every industry should be forced to or necessarily benefits from it. And I can see, at least at least on the EV side, I can see why Tesla has been able to benefit from not having a union. And look, there's a lot of millionaires at Tesla now, right? Just from that simple fact, there's a lot of people there that just made a ton of money because they worked their asses off for several years. And you don't get that unless you have that stock-based compensation.
I mean, it's a base of incentive structure, right? I mean, in my view, at least from my understanding, the union-based employee structure in Amazon and Starbucks and all these places, if it's just the incentives to drive efficiency or to drive growth overall for the company kind of like goes away, because a union is going to protect you. It's all about, you can check in at 9 to 5, and obviously there are upsides and downsides to it. Like you said, working long hours and all that stuff is there. But at the end of the day, it's still at will work. People can quit their job and find another job. It's not like they're forced to work at a particular job. So I don't sometimes understand the point where people are being preyed on. Like, it's people generally, the market is for people who kind of like, you are getting XYZ benefits plus pay, and these are the realities of the job. if you want to take the job, take it. If not, don't take it. So it's at the end of the day at will employment. Nobody's forcing anybody. So I'm just like, yeah. So I'm just, yeah. So it's just.
This was just a quick
surprising.
search. I was asking Shane. Employee stock plans. Many automakers affiliated with the UAW or ESP allowing union members to purchase companies. They're purchasing. You can find more information about it. All right.
Yeah, I mean ESPPs are generally like yeah. So even I have ESPPs. I can purchase every quarter or two. Every quarter, every 6 months, I can purchase up to $25,000 a year of stock at a discounted price. That's I mean, or $25,000 a year slash 15% of your salary. So it's capped, like it's 15% of your salary, capped at $25,000 a year.
That's still an amazing. So that's an amazing incentive.
At a 15% discount. At a 15% discount. Yeah.
And I doubt people are even the majority of people have that and like that enough capital to be putting 25,000 on just Tesla stock. So that's give me that any day.
No, it's basically free money. It's like you kind of like take money out of each of your paycheck, and then at the end of the 6-month period, it will look at the start, like the stock price at the start of the 6 month and end of the 6 month. Take the lowest stock price in the 6-month period and give a 15% discount on that, and you can buy the stock at the discounted price. And obviously you can sell immediately too. So you buy the stock, and most of the people just sell immediately and just realize the 20% gain or so every 6 months.
Well, I'm holding some 330 call options that I think are going to do very, very well in the next couple of months.
Just listen, make sure. My thing is just make sure you take some of the table. Make sure when the run happens, take some of the table and don't carry.
That's been my problem actually, is not taking enough off the table when it's there. But I mean, do you not feel like we're going to have an incredible Q3, Q4 now, especially with these rate cuts? If Model Y was already pushing to be, say, the number one selling vehicle in the US, now you got rate cuts coming in. They've been giving some great incentives on the vehicles. China reported the best or the second best week ever. Are we not set up? Do we not have a perfect setup for like a plateau?
We have a perfect setup right now. Barring there is a recession coming, there might be one. But otherwise I see like a perfect setup. They've announced a new lower cost vehicles coming next year, and like a lot of rate cuts are coming, and like, we are set up, and we even have a low comp, like in the sense that the growth has sucked for the 2 years. Like it's not been great for Tesla 1 or 2 years. So the next year there is low, like not hard comp to grow from this year. So I think we are in for like a perfect setup for 2025 and 2026. And if you surprise on energy and FSD, that's one more tailwind. I think it's kind of like perfectly set up. It's just things need to just go right, and we will have like I think it's gonna go well in terms of like if it all plays out properly.
Well, 10/16 is the earnings, so
so the delivery numbers and energy numbers come out at the end of like the year, right? So that could set like the tone for the whole thing to start. Like on the October 1st or 2nd, you're gonna have the delivery numbers. So that's kind of like dictates your earnings and margins and everything. So I think if you have like a good beat or whatever, and then you go into the event, it could be super bullish going into the event, and then you have the earnings. So it's a busy 1 month or so after October 1st. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I haven't been excited for a Tesla event for a long time. The Cybertruck event was, I got to say, it was a great vehicle, but it wasn't that exciting of an event. I feel like they half-assed it. So I'm hoping they really knock it out of the park with this one. Maybe that it won't be in the Gigafactory. I think that'll be a big difference. So hopefully I'll be able to go live or something on it that day and see if we can. All right. Anybody else have anything to say before we move on? Talk about some BTC.
BTC.
Bitcoin, I'm down.
I am so excited for this, bro. 170 days after the halving is usually when we start our run. We're like 150 something days, 160 days. It is looking so good. The TA is looking great. Rate cuts. I mean, looks like the perfect setup. Again, it's like my two of my biggest positions right now are set to run. I'm super excited. There are a lot of crypto holders. I feel like I try not to talk about crypto too much because I feel like people don't.
I have
really
a lot of crypto.
care
I have
about
a lot
it.
of crypto. Yeah.
But like a lot of crypto, meaning like a lot of money in it, or is like a large percentage of your
Both. Obviously,
I probably have like
large
10.
person.
I probably have 10%, maybe 15, but mainly on
Yeah,
Bitcoin though.
close to 20%, I would say, of my portfolio is in crypto and crypto assets.
I want to.
It's grown to 20%, like because of you DCA'd on the down cycle, right? So.
I got to tell you though, Carlos, like since I know that, you know, it's like what is it, once 170, 180 days post halving, and we're kind of getting near there. I'm excited, but then kind of like a little bit nervous. Like, what if we get something wrong? Like, what if we, you know, we're setting ourselves up, you know, getting our hopes up. You know, I don't know. I just hope that my prediction target hits. I can take some off the table, and you know.
Wow, Jonathan, I didn't know that. I didn't know you were holding that much, 80% of your net worth in it. Well, look, it's hard to say because these things happen in 4 years, and every 4 years we're in somewhat of a different macro. But typically September is like the shittiest month for crypto, and around that this week is when you usually see Bitcoin put in the low that we would see for the remainder of the year, with the exception of one of the last halvings. So wherever we're at now historically has been the lowest that it's been, and in October it typically starts to run. But we don't always have a rate cut right before, and so we're technically in a more risk on environment than we have been before. And I think there's a little bit of fear. You know, you've seen what's happening over the Middle East and in Israel, and people getting nervous about that, maybe trying to look for some protection. I do think Bitcoin is growing and evolving into a bit of that protective store of value. And when you got guys like Fink out there actively promoting it to basically everyone that'll listen, I just think the narrative is different around Bitcoin this time. I don't think it's no longer has to justify itself as an asset class. And so I think it's set to do really well.
Oh, I agree. So like it's all about like, I mean, the only there are like 3 scenarios I can think of macro wise. Only one scenario can go to shit, and the probability of that is quite low. One is like you have like your soft landing, classical soft landing. The rate goes to like 2.5%. I feel like in that case, your Bitcoin, as the rate goes down, or the anticipation of rate goes down, your Bitcoin slowly rises. Your Bitcoin slowly rises up. The second scenario I see is like kind of like you have like a recession. That scenario where like that scenario you see like Fed cut rates and do QE pretty fast if there is a bad recession. Even in that case, you have like Bitcoin tanking, but then going back up pretty fast, like kind of like the COVID V-shaped recovery style. Especially if unemployment goes to 5.5%. And the third scenario is as they cut rates, the inflation comes back. And that scenario is where I'm kind of like, I don't think Bitcoin will do well in that scenario, but I don't see that happening.
That actually does concern me. That concerns me that the rate cuts are essentially just pushing it further down the line, making it worse when we eventually have to pay for it.
So the inflation, if it comes back when we cut rates and we get stuck at 3.5-4%, and that is not what the market is expecting right now. And if that is the case, then we kind of are in for some more pain with Bitcoin, honestly. But I feel like number one is what looks more likely to me, but it doesn't hurt to be hedged for number two. And number three is very, very unlikely from what I see, but I've been wrong before. So I'll keep tracking that.
TJ, did you see this? Does that make a difference to you? You're muted.
Wheel that.
Yes.
Wheel that, bro.
This was I'm saying now are you going to start wheeling? You're going to start wheeling Bitcoin. This was the big thing. You said I can't sell options against it. So
Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean, I feel like I'm kind of already wheeling Bitcoin from the standpoint that I've been selling puts and calls on BITX, and
the leveraged one.
Yeah, it's a 2 times leverage. So, I mean, if you're that bullish on it, I mean, doesn't it make sense to do the 2 times leverage versus just the actual?
The IBIT, the liquidity on IBIT is much better. Just FYI.
Yeah.
This is really good. The spreads are so small, so it's easier to wheel IBIT stuff.
Yeah,
I plan to wheel on IBIT. Yeah,
I love how
I just feel like the miners have been acting like a leverage play the entire time, and I just think that there's more alpha to be had on the miners, like at these levels right now. So, like, let's say Bitcoin goes up 100%, which would be amazing for Bitcoin. I think that there's a lot of miners out there from these levels right here are going to give you 200 and 300% return.
what do you set up for if that in fact happens?
To set out to make about $5 million probably. So I'm okay with that happening.
Right, but how have you set yourself up? Like, what have you put down? Like, what are you betting on there?
Yeah, so I have 100,000 shares of Riot. Average cost is $8.39. I've got a bunch of cash secured puts on Riot. I got 400 cash secured puts at $7.50 for Clean Spark. I think Clean Spark, along with this company called Core Scientific, are probably best in class right now. Like, who can mine the most Bitcoin bang for buck right now? I think it's the 2 C's. I think it's Clean Spark and Core Scientific. I would not invest in Core Scientific because they just came out of a bankruptcy. So there's too much that I don't understand there. But there's a company called Core Weave or some crazy shit that Core Scientific did a big old deal with on like September the 6th. There's just a lot of
HPC. Yeah, that's the HPC. Core Weave hosts like NVIDIA GPUs basically. And then for the power infrastructure, Core Scientific signed a deal with them. So it became all like most of the miners itself are not running. The only miners which is running right now is doing those AI HPC deals, like the AI deals they're signing. Only those miners are running, like Wolf, TeraWolf. I actually sold my TeraWolf at 6, and it's a few companies which is doing that. Yeah,
but I think the big thing that I've been able to do with like the miners is I look at the actual company, like, is it really set up for success? Can it stay in business for the next 3 to 5 years, et cetera, et cetera? Does it have the balance sheet, the infrastructure to do all of those things? Is management, do I have faith in management to deliver on all of these prospects? Because they all talk a good game on earnings, right? There's rarely a CEO that's going to come on and be like, hey, our stock and our company's dog shit, don't invest in us. It's not what it is. It's a fucking pep rally. So you have to discern what is bullshit and what is bullish.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the pep rally, right? You have to discern the bullish from the bullshit, and it's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially when the CEO is very, fucking lucky. He's excited. It's like Elon Musk, dude. Like sometimes he's like captain cheerleader from the fucking pep squad, and other times he looks like his high school girl left him at the prom with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's
honestly, I only look whether the miners have done what they have said they have done. That's it. Like if Clean Spark has pretty much set targets and hit them, that's why I hold their stock. It's pretty rare. Like Marathon and stuff, they don't really do what they say they do. So that's basically what I look for. Like are they doing what they're telling us they are going to do? It's pretty much like it's not like the business model itself is not rocket science. It's just like, are they saying, okay, I'm going to build so many exahash of capacity, and are they hitting those goals? That's pretty much that's all I look for basically. Yeah.
Me too, but the thing is like also the miners, like I'm saying that Bitcoin will go up 100% from these levels. I think the miners will go up 200 or 300%. Before they had diluted so damn much, it might have been 400 or 500%.
Yeah,
but these floats have gotten so big, Carlos, for very small companies from a revenue perspective. People don't understand how hard it is to move the needle when there's so many fucking shares outstanding.
Yeah,
like people need to go understand how to do some basic arithmetic and understand that, dude, if you got 1 billion shares out there, SoFi, I don't understand how these people think this thing is going to go to $15 tomorrow. Like, you guys need to go understand how 1 + 1 = 2 in the stock market.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, yeah, outstanding shares. Yeah.
it's just people don't understand how important a big float is versus a smaller float, and why did this other company Moon? I'm like, well, dude, because they probably got 250 million shares. You know what I mean? Versus over 1 billion shares over here on this side of the house. But
yeah,
I think there's a handful of miners that are not going anywhere. Definitely in this cycle, like they have plenty of money on the balance sheet and they deliver. And if Bitcoin goes up and to the right, I think that they're going to stand to do very, very well for the next Bitcoin cycle. I don't know, dude, because the thing with this deal, I was in a pod or a, what is it? The X things, what do they call Spaces? Is that it? Spaces?
Yeah, Spaces.
So I was on a Bitcoin Mafia space earlier, and one of the guys was on the board of directors for a company called Iron. And I think they're called something else, but Iron's the ticker.
Iris Energy, yeah.
Yes, Iris Energy. This dude, his name's Mike, I think, and he's on the board of directors. And they taught the thing that's so hard about this whole mining thing is, bro, by the time they figure it out, all of their their fleet is obsolete, bro. And they essentially have to start from scratch. So they're always playing from behind the 8 ball. And it's just a very, very difficult business. It's a very capital intensive business. And it's a winner take most business, and it's tough, man, because you're dealing with the zero sum game in Bitcoin.
I wanted to address that question, the nuclear energy question. The TeraWulf already has a facility in Lake Mariner, which does mine on nuclear facility, and that is their bull case. Their cost of energy is so low on their facility, and they have like expansion options and stuff. So like, yeah, they are, and that's also owned by Stan Druckenmiller, owns TeraWulf. And they just cleaned up their balance sheet. It's actually a good miner to own in this environment. I sold TeraWulf. I will re-enter. I mean, it's just a trade for me. None of these is long-term holds. None of the miners I plan to hold for 10 years. It's just like for cycle to cycle, right? Whichever is doing well. Yeah.
But
so
don't you feel like at these price levels, or where we're going to end up, say around this cycle, the price of 1 Bitcoin gets to be so high that the halvings don't really have the impacts anymore? In other words, the costs to the miners to keep their business afloat or relatively stay within a certain range, yet the price of Bitcoin keeps going up, so that even if it gets halved, like we get to the next halving, they're still at half of a halving reward. They're not going to have to do what they are doing now to stay in business. Things like diluting, right?
Yeah, with dilution, they're monstrous dilution.
So like we're kind of in
the cost of Bitcoin mining is also going to go up as Bitcoin prices increase.
But why? Aside from the energy?
Because it just becomes harder to mine. It's just because it's harder to mine, so a higher energy cost.
But if energy costs,
there's a lot of miners that like Riot has. Their price of energy is stable and for 2027, 2028, all the way to 2030 and some lots.
But
there's a lot of companies that are set up. It's not just Riot, dude. There's a handful of these Bitcoin miners that they're like, okay, what's the most expensive piece to this pie besides the actual equipment is the energy, right? The electricity. So they went out and they negotiated deals with these energy companies to create a constant for the biggest variable in their business. So these CEOs are not dumb, bro. Like they figure things out.
But the hardness of your mining goes up, so it takes longer to mine each Bitcoin. So which increases your price to mine the Bitcoin. So even if you have constant energy cost, the amount of time it takes to mine 1 Bitcoin increases. So which increases your price to mine 1 Bitcoin. So,
but then you also have the Bitmains and the other company that are creating computers, if you will, that mine at higher levels to kind of offset that as well.
And higher efficiency.
So there's other forces at play.
That's why I own a lot of Square stock at these prices. Square or like Block at these prices, they're trading at 15 times earnings, forward earnings, 15, 16 times forward earnings, my earnings estimate. And I mean, so basically Square basically started a 3 nanometer miner, like the miner itself, like as you compete, you have to replace your miners, there's capex and all that stuff. So Square has started making the Bitmain computers to compete with Bitmain, and that business is not even taken into account in their current earnings projections. And I think that will be a very big business for Square long term in 2-3, maybe even 2-3 years. And they even have a deal with Core Scientific to sell their new Bitcoin miner computers to them. So I think Square is a very good stock to own because they have an underlying business which itself is very undervalued right now. And there is a bunch of options in the Bitcoin mining space, which they've already made the product for and already have a signed deal. And I think Square stock can easily like 10x from here.
You're talking about Square, Del Dorsey, right? Am I hearing you right?
Yeah.
Because the first time I heard Squire, and I'm like,
Me too.
Square, block.
My knight in
Block,
Chinese.
right.
Block.
I got
Block.
Got
Yeah. So I have a bunch of block stock. So I think that'll like, given enough patience, I think that will do really well in the coming cycle and the next few years.
Is Square profitable now? Because I remember being
yeah. They're very profitable.
Down
They're trading at like forward earning 16 times. So it's very profitable. And they have like a cap, like they have like a 12,000 people cap on their operations. So they're saying like, we will not hire more than like our total number of people in our company will not be more than 12,000 people. And they're still growing at 20-25% like next few years. So obviously all that extra growth is flowing into their bottom line because their OPEX is not increasing. They're in their operating leverage phase. And a bunch of their, but a lot of their earnings projections is not priced in just yet, in my opinion. So I think that's very undervalued pay for even the Bitcoin mining space. It's the narrative has not caught up yet, so I think it's a good buy right now.
When did you buy them?
Now I've been buying them in their 60s, basically. Like I've been buying them last 6 months.
Oh, because
last 6-8 months I've been buying.
It was in their 30s, like in 2022.
Yeah, right? I didn't buy in the. It came down to 40 and all that stuff. But I've been only buying them in their 50s and 60s. I've been wheeling it because it's been trading in a range. I sell like 70. Like I've been like selling puts and selling calls on it on my stock, on part of my stock to like make income out of it because it's been trading in a range till it breaks out. I'll keep doing that. I'll keep wheeling it.
Well, real quick, before we just pivot to the last thing, I do want to bring this up. Here we go. So yes, finance friends, IMNA. We're doing another community finance meetup for second year, Vegas, November 7 to 12-ish, meeting last year. This is where we all ended up meeting in Vegas last year for Amit's birthday. So it's around the same time this year. I don't know how many people, but it seems like there's a good number of people that are going.
Wasn't it pushed to December? I thought it was pushed to December.
No, it's November.
That would be the first that I've heard. I know we've been talking about, November 7th. I know a bunch of people have booked. So yeah, I mean, what did I say? November 7th to the 12th. Many from last year go and welcome the friends of the community to join. So I've been meaning to call it out. So if you want to meet some of the people in the community, that would be the day. And it was a lot of fun last year. I had a lot of fun meeting all you guys for the first time. I do want to just ask about this for a second. Let me see if I can bring it out. This is my last thing today. I was actually going to just text you about this, but I figured I'd ask you since we're here. TJ, this was a text that he put up, a tweet that he had the other day, and I just wanted to read it and just ask for some clarity. I really liked how you laid it out here, and I just wanted you to clarify this. Here's the big flex. I can't show you how to be born rich, but I can show you how to get rich and still have control of your time. Get your funding strategy on track and get your account to 250K. Turn on margin and just sell puts. This will make you enough income to live a very comfortable life. And it realistically only takes about 10 hours a week of your time. Getting to 250K will be hard, but get off your ass and make it happen. You're welcome. Can you just like double click into that and explain that? Because that's like the first time I've ever heard you just sort of lay it out as like a real simple, like paint by numbers.
Sure. So that's the number one question I'm asked all the time on email and from the members, because I have this little membership now where you give me you give me $10 or $25 a month, it all goes into the Bitcoin hodl, that I'll do a FaceTime with you once a week right now, which is really exhausting, by the way. I don't want to do that anymore. Or it's once a month or once every 3 months, depending on your tier. And that's like the number one question that I ask is, how much money do I need to be able to do this full time? If this is the only thing that I want to do with my life. And this is taking a page out of Mr. Premium, the option. I want to give him credit. I want to give credit to Option. I want to give credit to Dallas Matthew for coming on my channel and help me to come to this determination that 250,000 when margin turned on was the number, because you can generate a 6-figure income with that. And if you can't figure out how to live a comfortable life on 6 figures, it's because you're doing something wrong financially, because that should theoretically be enough money for probably 70-80% of the people to live very, very comfortably. And that is pulling some money from you and still allowing the portfolio to grow. So, but if you have a strategy, you know, it's like, okay, if I want a 6-figure income, I'm gonna have to deal with some blue chip stocks, but I'm also gonna have to deal with like the Bitcoin miner stocks of the world that have the high IB that can give me that 6 to 8% a month that others aren't going to give you. Like, I love PayPal; it's steady, but it's only good for 2 to 3% a month. So you have to be able to match your goals, right? Like, your portfolio has to match your income goals. And this is talking about creating an income producing portfolio that can also go up in value over time, because you're going to essentially live off of the money that's generated via the premiums. So you want to have about 50% stable stocks that aren't going to do much. They're going to go up over time. And then you need to have the stocks that can legit give you an opportunity to double in the next 2, 3 to 4 years, because you need some of that capital appreciation to outperform the market as well. And
just trying to understand what you said, like break it down. So 50% of the 250K you're owning like a very stable stock, and rest 50%
you're not necessarily owning, but you're selling puts on on Amazon.
Because
you have to buy $100,000 to make a couple thousand.
250K, 50% is into
the riots and the SoFis.
Right. And so you're selling puts or cash secured puts, but you're using margin to cover.
Correct, because the $250,000 portfolio is going to trade about like 400 or 500,000 when margin turned on.
Right.
So we can do some hard math if you want to share the screen real quick.
Yeah, just real quick. I'd like.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
So let's take right, because I'm already in it.
And if you haven't hit like and subscribe, hit like and subscribe. TJ's dropping some knowledge now, and I'm just really curious about this.
Because I always like to let the numbers do the talking, right? That's why I just trade live on the
channel.
Exactly. People are like, oh my God, look at that amazing Photoshop. I'm like, bro, if you can Photoshop live, I mean, those are skills that'll pay the bills. You don't even sell puts. Hollywood will pay some crazy money for that kind of shit. But so let's just do the math. Let's just say I wanted to do $125,000 on Riot cash secured puts. How much money could that bring in a month, right? So I'm going to go here to trade options, and I'm going to pick a strike price, and I'm just like comfortable with it. I've been following this thing for a while, so I'm going to go 33 days out. So the math is very, very simple for us, and I'm going to go over here at $7 because I know that at $7, dude, I don't even have to look at this thing. It's a 40 delta. It's really, really high. So most people wouldn't do that, but I'm extremely familiar with the underlying, and I'm telling you that $7, you're kind of good. You know what I mean? Even if you get a sign and it's at like 660, 670, it's not the end of the world. Just turn around, sell cover calls at 7, and you're going to get this type of premium twice over. So you're going to go here, and you're just going to come down to math, right? Like how much? So 125 grand. So 125,000 divided by $700, I could do 178 contracts. So let's just say 175 contracts for easy math. So it's 122,000 in collateral. Y'all see right there?
Yeah.
And how much money does that generate you? You see that?
Right. So you got paid 10 grand.
10 grand for selling puts. Okay.
And you're only using half of the portfolio right now, right? And that 10,000, you can literally take it, pay your mortgage, pay your car, do whatever you got to do, live off of that. And you still got another 175 contracts that you can sell on something else, right? Something, I mean, if it's in the same price range.
Wait, when does that expire? When does that expire?
Month out. So here's a question. Here's a follow-up question. If say Riot starts running, like say it goes up 10-20%, and your contracts are like 50-60% in the green, right? And
Yeah.
do you like cover that, and then when do you cover it, or do you let it you go till expiry? How do you play this? Like, what is your strategy exactly?
Sure. So it comes down to math. It comes down to how much premium, because there's premium collected. This is premium collected, right? But
Right.
premium captured is how much of that money do I actually keep whenever I'm no longer in the contract. So if Riot trades above $7.01 on or before whatever the expiry is there, October the 25th, I would essentially capture all of that money, right? 100%.
Right.
But let's say Riot goes to like $8.50 or $9 in the next week or two, then that's where you have a decision to make.
Yeah,
you're probably going to be up 50 or 60% on this contract. So now you have to make a decision. Do I want to give them back $4,000, lock in a $6,000 profit, and take the risk off the table? I recommend doing that if you have somewhere else that you want to put the money. That might be a little bit safer, if you will. Let Riot come back to your chill zone. Or if you need to realize that money because this is your livelihood, well, shit, you've already got a winning trade. This is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted. Riot's now at $9. You've agreed to buy it at $7. I mean, you're on easy street. You want to go to hard street. Why would you want to do that?
Right.
All you need to do is let time expire so you can realize all of this money, right? But then here's the thing. It's a job. Now you got to go find your next play for the following months. You need to have your watch list of 10 to 20 stocks that you're studying forward, backwards, left, and right, because unless you're willing to run what's called the covered strangle on Riot, and this would be my recommendation if I was doing that on Riot. And again, I'm not telling y'all what to do. I'm just showing you what I do. There's a big difference, right? But if it was me, I would take ownership of 10,000 shares of Riot. I would play those to the upside via covered calls, while selling these cash secured puts over here, because now I'm strangling the stock and I'm lowering my adjusted cost basis on both sides. And if it runs up, fantastic. My cover calls might be hurting, but I'm going to get a little capital appreciation, and my cash secured puts are printing. If my cash secured puts are hurting, that means that my cover calls are printing. So either way, I'm guaranteed to realize one of those wins on a monthly basis. And if it trades kind of flat, that's the dream, because now you're winning on both sides of the equation.
Both sides.
While you're
are you paying short-term? Are you paying short-term capital gains when you close the contract?
It's a job. You pay short-term capital gains
at the end of the year.
It's income. Yeah, it's income. Yeah.
Right.
Facts. So I'm saying it could be done, but you have to be able to stomach this type of volatility. And you can't be angry. Like, if you sell covered calls at 8 and Riot moons to like 9 or 10, if you're in an income producing situation where you need this money for your life, just let the damn shares get called away and go play somewhere else. You need to realize when. You need to realize when. This is just treating it like a job, dude. It's not like getting emotional. And I think that's where a lot of people lose sight of what's real in the stock market, is because they develop an emotional relationship with these stocks. To me, at the end of the day, as much as I love SoFi and all these other companies, the stocks are nothing but tools to finance my livelihood for my family.
So out of 100%, what percentage do you weigh the technical analysis of what the stock's going to do in terms of whether you're going to buy, sell, or how you manage the position versus the fundamentals of the company? Out of 100%.
Yeah. So I'd say 75% is fundamentals and 25% is for ideal entry points and exit points. Because it's important. A technical analysis will tell you when's ideal to get in and out based on where the laws of supply and demand are on the chart. Like, that's a whole conversation. I could geek out on technicals. I just don't like doing it because I feel like nobody wants to hear it. But the only thing that I trade that is offline, it's called the law of supply and demand. So I'm like, okay, you look for real big red bars and green bars. I'll just give it to you real quick, layman's term. Real big red bar, that's where all your sellers are. Real big green bar, that's where all your buyers are. So buyers are what? They're the supply side. They're the demand side. The sellers are the supply side. So I just chart that on the thing, and I go back a year, and I'm like, okay, these are my levels of supply, and these are my levels of demand. And then I'm going to put the Bollinger Band on there, and I'm going to sell cash secured puts on the lower end of the Bollinger Band, and I'm going to sell covered calls on the higher end of the Bollinger Band. And if you can figure out what I just said, you're ready to become a millionaire if you have $250,000.
You make it sound so easy.
And if you don't have it, what's stopping you? What's
getting that.
stopping you? And I'm going to point at you. You are stopping you because you're just not willing to think big enough. It's only been 4 or 5 years that I learned how to make pretty big money. And it took me 45 years because, Carlos, I just wasn't ready, bro. Like, you remember when you first started making money?
Yeah.
And you look back and when you struggled the whole time, you weren't ready yet, dude. It's just the way that it is. For whatever reason, the foundation hadn't been laid for you.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was scary.
And why Riot and not Clean Spark? TJ, you just like Riot better? That's like
no, because I did the homework on Riot first.
Okay.
And then I'm still doing homework on Clean Spark, but I have 400 cash secured puts at 750 for January. And I've already made $250,000 on Clean Spark. So it's not like I'm not like profiting out of Clean Spark. I just don't have to own any shares. But I did all the research first, and at the time, and it kind of almost still holds true today, Riot still has the best in class balance sheet.
Okay.
So those fundamentals matter. Riot is not going to go out of business financially, dude. Like, there's just mathematically impossible to blow up that checkbook right now. Their HODL's strong, their cash balance is strong. The thing that's tough about Riot is they have so much going for them, but yet they keep mining so little Bitcoin.
Right.
So that's something that has to be solved. And that at some point, people even like me are going to be like, dude, I'm going to go put my money over here because Clean Spark's delivering. Of course, fucking even Marathon's delivering. You know what I mean? But I'm still have a bet that management's going to figure it out because ever since they got rid of Chad, Everett Harris, they haven't been mining the same, dude. And I'm going to have an opportunity to sit down with the execs, hopefully, at the conference in Irvine in October. And those are the tough questions that I'm willing to ask because I don't need anybody to like me. I'm not here to be popular. I want to be rich.
Right.
Like, I don't need to be liked. That shit doesn't pay any fucking bills. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I want to know why are y'all doing so little with so much? Right. And I want to have an answer to that question. As an investor, I feel like I deserve that answer. We all do.
That's one of your better one-liners. That they're squatters. They got to pay their rent. I don't need any of these migrant stocks in my portfolio.
But just to clarify that tweet, Carlos, if somebody can stomach some volatility, it looks like Carlos is stoned on the screen. There you go, Leo.
Am I?
You froze for a little bit. If somebody can stomach a little bit of volatility, oh my God!
I'm not frozen. I'm not frozen. That's in my face.
There's a path there to make a solid 6 figures with 250 grand, but it's not going to be whistle and Dixie. It's not going to work out exactly like that. Some months you might only be able to make 3 or 4 grand because you got caught bag holding like on an Intel or something like that. Because an Intel would have been an ideal scenario in the $30 range. Oh, it's Intel. How low could it go? Well, shit, it went to like 18, right? I don't know if it touched the 17s, but 18s it did. So that can happen. That can happen. And then that blows your account up for a little bit. So that's why I'm saying 250,000 and turn on margin so you can handle that type of volatility as well to the downside.
Tej, I don't do options. I can be honest about that. So I still if I was gonna delve into it, I would have to do a lot of research. But one of the things that I get confused of when I watch your options video is pretty much picking the time period. Like right now, what you said was, you put like a month out or a month and a few days. So
yeah, I only did it that because of the math, right? Because it's really easy to annualize the return when you go a month. But statistically, if you want to make the most amount of money, weeklies is where you want to be.
So for cash secured puts, it's usually a week out.
Or covered calls. If you want to maximize your alpha over time, you're better off doing weeklies, but it also takes more time and effort to manage. I choose not to. I choose to do 30 to 45 days out. And then I want to manage the trade about 21 days to expiration because I'll look up and I'm going to be up about 50%. And statistically, it's a lot easier to capture that first 50% of the trade than the second 50% of the trade. Because as you get closer to expiration, now you have all of these forces working against you called the Greeks.
Yeah, for example, I do like 3 months out. I mean, I'm super safe because I don't have time to babysit my
Right.
positions. So whenever it's on the supply, I just like sell puts like on stocks I want to own 3 months out. I know it's not the most optimal one, but I make some money off of it, like, yeah. So yeah, I don't even do 30 days out. I do 3 months out.
And there's a lot of my stocks that I do options a year out. I sell options a year out and I lock in all of that premium. And then I use that premium to sell short dated cash secured puts. And then I look up a year later and I'm like, holy shit, I got 40-50% return on that portion of the portfolio. So the question becomes, why don't I do that on all the part of the portfolio, right? When I have that answer, I will tell you guys, because that is something I ask myself every night, at least 10 times a day, is why am I not just taking SoFi a year and a half out and selling cash secured puts at $7 and taking all of that premium and bullshitting with Amazon along the way or something like that. And I'm going to look up at 25-30% a year because you're going to capture a bunch of it up front. I just started selling puts on Riot. January 2026. It's paying $143 a contract at a $5 strike price, dude. So when I do these things like that, it's like that, and that was like a 25-26% return. I mean, it's
so SoFi. Yeah, SoFi is actually right now really nice. They had just opened the 2027 contracts. So I just sold like a bunch of $7 2027 puts, and then bought using that cash. I bought $15 calls in 2027. So that way I don't mind getting the stock at $7. And if my calls don't print, it's fine. I just lose house money. Yeah.
Can you share the screen real quick, Carlos?
Yeah.
So this is an example of my backstop trade. And this is terminology that I've introduced to the stock market world. It's where I sell cash secured put at a price on a stock that I'm okay with it. I don't even have to look at it, but it's typically far in the distance. And it's also an overweight trade. This is, where you go to the Invest with Henrys and they're like 5% per stock and all this other stupid shit. It's none of these are TJ's rules, right? So I did 1,000 contracts on SoFi on 430. I scaled into them. They didn't all happen on 430, but they happened within a month or two from this. And I got an average credit of $175 a contract at $8. SoFi is currently at 811, and I could close this out right now and capture 50% or 87,000. There's still $87,000 of meat on the bone. And I did that, and you'll see there's some of the trades there. So 20 contracts, 200 contracts, 80 contracts. So the money's real. The money's real. It happened, and that is what I do. This is where a majority of the cash is made. And then I can look at Riot as well, and you'll see that I've already started building a hell of a position for 2026 at $5. Because I'm like, okay, dude, Riot at $5, that's a joke. That's a steal of a deal. So these are the types of trades that I want to get into where I'm like, dude, if I have to own it at $5, where do I sign up? And I've done 400 contracts, average credits 142, like I mentioned earlier. And here's the trades. You'll see them because I just scaled into these recently. So I did 105 contracts. I did 95 contracts and 200 contracts. And you'll see all of that money. And then we're going to look back at this trade in 4, 5, 6, 7 months. And you're going to see that I'm going to be up 30 or 40% on that trade. And that is the easiest money that I make in the portfolio. So now the way that I'm able to juice up my premiums, my return, if you will, is now I have that $56,000 to work with.
Right. You can use that in the meantime. Right.
I can short dated cash secured puts, or I could buy the underlying with that money and sell covered calls. And now I'm strangling the stock. And now I have an adjusted cost basis on that lot of probably like $3.
Well, and you also know that like 2025 is probably going to be a good year for them. And then when we get the reckoning after the big run, the miners should come down again.
Yeah.
In 26.
So it's just, and there's a comment that I started out with $1,000. Dude, here's the thing. Like, let's do a real talk real quick.
Oh.
This is for P. Morton, right? Because he doesn't know me from that.
Yeah, see, TJ starts with 1,000.
Right? Okay, here's the thing. On September the 5th, 2019, my daughter committed suicide. And I was fucking not close to broke, but I was broke. I was broke financially, and I was broke emotionally. So I had a checkup from the neck up saying, this isn't the fucking life that I want to live. And I said, I'm going to become a fucking millionaire in the next couple, 2 or 3 years. And that's what I set out on a path to do. I founded the fucking hedge fund. I doubled $5 million 2 times over, and I got 10% of that. So if you're in a situation where it bothers you that I'm able to say that I sold 1,000 cash secured puts on SoFi or Riot or whatever the case may be, is because you need to look at the fucking mirror and ask yourself, why the fuck am I not doing that? Because I looked at other successful people, Carlos, Heinze, and Rango, and I was like, why the fuck not me? What did they do that's so different than me? They just had a vehicle that could give them those types of results. So I was working in the oil field 87 and a half hours a week, but at the end of the day, I only had about $120,000 a year to work with. After taxes, child support, investments, it was about $3,000 to $4,000 a month take home. I go, that shit's not going to work. There's too much month at the end of the money. It didn't work. So in order for things to change, you have to make a change. In order for things to get better, you have to get better. So if you don't like your financial situation, fucking change it. It's up to you. You're exactly where you're at in this fucking life because of all the decisions you made to get to this point. And when you can't accept that, you're ready to fucking win. If you can't accept it and you want to blame everybody fucking else except for you, then you're not ready to win. You still want to be a loser. Because losers don't fucking look at other people's situations. They look at other people's situations. They don't look in the mirror because that's too painful. A winner's not sitting there counting somebody else's money. They're trying to figure out what the hell could I do to improve my situation. And that's what I did. I had to go look at other successful people. And I was like, dude, help me. What'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? And I started getting nuggets, dude, from people that had already done what I aspired to do. I mean, if you want to be a good doctor, go talk to a good doctor. He'll probably show you how to get there. If you want to be a good lawyer, go talk to a good lawyer. He'll show you how to get there. Like, people are super fucking nice. Mm-hmm. If you just ask them, Carlos, you're an editor, correct?
Yeah.
So if somebody say, hey, man, I want some pointers on how to be an editor, it's probably not in your nature to be like, fuck off. You're probably going to give them a nugget or two, right? Because you don't want to shit on their dreams. We're not conditioned to really do that as people.
I'm actually surprised at how few people take me up on that. And I think it's just something about, I don't know, maybe it's something about the people in this industry or just an ego thing. But what do they say? They say, if you don't ask, no, they say, if you ask once, you're a fool once. If you don't ask, you're a fool forever. Something like that.
Right. I mean, if you ask not, you have not, guys. You know,
that's why, listen, that's why when I saw that tweet, I was like, I got to make sure to just ask him about it because I know that it just, I don't know. I wanted to get some more information about it because there's things that, there's things in your head that I don't know about. Or sometimes, I've been a teacher before, I've taught, and there's something that happens to you when you're a teacher is you forget what it was like not knowing. And a lot of what you forget that you have to learn certain things. And so sometimes when you're talking about all these things, I feel like you might forget that some of us don't even understand some of the basics of what you're saying.
Sure.
And so sometimes I think it's good to go back a few steps and say, hey, can you just explain to me like I'm 5.
Sure. Yeah. And it was explained to me. And that's why I like to take time out of my life to explain it to people, because you want to pay it forward, dude. I mean, somebody paid it forward when they didn't have a vested interest in my success. They just happen to be good people. So I was like, dude, I need to try to become a person like that and pay it forward and hope that they take action. But that's the thing, dude, is I fucking took action. Because all the knowledge, dude, like, what good is it if you don't take any action? And the Bible says faith without works is dead. At the end of the day, you're going to have to do a little bit of work, whatever it is. I made a joke the other day. I don't know what, it might have been in Wheelers or somewhere. And I said, you can't motivate your way into becoming a millionaire.
Right.
You're going to have to do some work along the way. Carlos, hate to break it to you. Or Bitcoin's going to have to work. One of these companies is going to
have to do the work, yeah.
Somebody's going to have to do the heavy lifting, bro. And I don't mean to take over the podcast or anything, but I get fired up sometimes. But dude, all I want to do is I want to help people win, because people have helped me win. And people are still helping me win. Dude, I have people in my life, thank God, and all they want to do is help me to level up. And dude, the view at the top is real boring, Carlos and Rango and Heinze and the beautiful people in the chat.
Yeah, didn't Drake write a whole song about that?
If you're the only one at the top, dude, how boring is that? Like, who are you going to high five with if we climb this amazing mountain? You're the only one up there, Carlos. I mean, it's pretty lonely at the time.
I'll be okay. I'll build a big enough house.
That's probably what messed up P. Diddy.
Yeah, right. We'll have a freak off party. You're all invited.
He got up so much and he was still alone on the top. He got so bored.
No, I just want to get my trip to fucking Mykonos or Bora Bora. That's it. I just want to be in a toga all fucking day and wear sandals.
Like, hey, where's Bora Bora? Is that the one that's got the little huts on the water that we see in the movies all the time?
Yeah, that's where that is.
Dude, we need to go there. Where is that?
That's where that is. Yeah.
Is that far?
It is. It's like
I don't even know.
The Pacific. It's in the Pacific. Dude, I hate long flights. Hold on.
Yeah,
but
it's
dude, everybody needs to get
French Polynesian islands located in the South Pacific, northwest of Tahiti. That's the goal. That's what I want to do.
Remember that movie, Couples Retreat or something like that? Was that where they went?
Oh, I don't know.
And they all had like the little huts where it was like Vince Vaughn and a couple of other funny actors, and it was like
but it wasn't. No. That wasn't the name of the movie. What's the name of the movie? I know the movie you're talking about. But
that wasn't Couples Retreat.
No, I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was that, but I know the movie.
And they all did. And they all did. Like, they all did like couples counseling and shit at this fancy island or whatever.
Oh, isn't that like Tyler?
Russell
Perry?
Brand was in that. Wasn't Russell Brand?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. That was like his breakout movie or something. God, I don't know.
No.
That wasn't the name of the movie.
No, bro. That's
Sarah Marshall.
Sarah Marshall. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's Hawaii. That was Hawaii though.
Right. That was Hawaii.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking Couples Retreat. Who knows? I'm usually wrong about this. I'm not your best movie source.
The only Couples Retreat I know is the one. I think it's like Why Did You Get Married or something. I think that was a Tyler Perry movie.
No, this is an actual movie called Couples Retreat, guys. I'm pulling it up. The 2029 film. It's right here. This is it.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, Couples Retreat 2009. God, I love the chat. Thank you, Shane. He's on it.
Yeah. So anyway,
I gotta go for dinner. All right, I'm going out with my wife for dinner.
Yeah, I got a jet as well.
All right, Rango, you know how to like link up again.
Can I do a shameless plug real quick, like a 1 minute plug?
On you?
Oh yeah.
On Twitter,
yeah. This is a good movie. I've seen it.
So on Twitter, I did this right here. You need to know this, and it's 15 minutes or so. The last 4 is not shared enough on any social media platform, YouTube, finance, or anything. But guys, you got to learn how to make money off your stock. Like it's a horse, and you got to learn how to ride it like fucking Secretariat to the Triple Crown. And I go off on that a little bit. I highly recommend those 4 minutes. It'll be a good listen for you. And I don't want to come off as a dick because that is not who I am. Carlos has met me in person. He's met my beautiful wife. She's extremely just congenial. I'm a little rougher around the edges.
Good lady, good heart.
I'm a good dude. I'm a good dude, and I'll help you as best as I can. But dude, sometimes you just got to tell people the way that it is, not the way that they necessarily want to hear it. So anyway, watch that little clip. It might help a couple of you guys out. You got anything else, Carlos? Man, I appreciate you doing these things, man. I know that you're busy. So some of y'all that don't know, Carlos is working 2 jobs now, about 100 hours a week. It's hard for him to do this thing. And sometimes I feel you don't even have the energy to be like, I don't want to ask this fucking dude if he wants to come on. Because I know what it's like to do wheelers, because that's the only segment that I do on the channel that requires.
And I know, and you ask me, and I feel bad sometimes. I'm like,
no, but I'm saying it's hard because you feel like you're bothering people sometimes. But you
me too. Listen, that's why I'm appreciative. Like you, Rango, Heinz, there's a couple of guys that keep rotating in and out, and I really appreciate it because I know it's hard, and it's hard to keep consistent. I was actually texting with Chris about that the hardest thing is keeping it consistent when your life is not consistent. So I do appreciate it. I know, Rango, you just got back from India yesterday, so I appreciated doing it on like very little sleep. Heinzie coming through every week. TJ, I know you got other shit and you've got your own channel. So, and then all the people in the chat. So we'll just keep it going and take it week by week.
Let's keep it going, man. It's a great show.
Well, appreciate you all. If you guys haven't, hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
All right. Ended the stream.